So let's move on to Anguirus. Again, like Rodan, he's a lot smaller than what's come before. Like when he first appears, he's maybe the size of a Mack truck, maybe? Maybe. Now, I don't know about you, but I really like this design. I really like the shape of his head with the longer snout. I really like how, as well as his two big canines, he's got one big long central fang. I really like the size of the head in relation to these big broad shoulders that makes it look like there's a lot of power in those front legs. I love the formation and the shape of the spikes, especially these ones on the side of his neck. They look cool. We also see later that he can twitch and flex these spikes around, the ones on his back at least. And he also has this vicious looking bladed tail, which he uses in a spin attack move to rip Jet Jaguar's head clean off. I would have loved to have seen him use this more. It looks savage. It also has these two things here, which kind of like hang down on either side of its tail, and they're covered in spikes, so it's obviously additional armament to protect its butthole, I guess. So what else do we know? Well, we know that it eats meat because it drags off this Rodan and then... Oh my god, that looks like the toilet after... Oh no, I can't finish that joke. Here you see its carcass that it's probably eaten. And we know that it can jump very high. As we see here, it's jumped a height of 10 meters. 10 meters? That's like... what's that in penis lengths?
6 inches is 15 centimeters. 10 meters is 1,000 centimeters divided by
65 penises. There's your answer. Anguirus can jump 65 average-sized penises.
Aha! I cleared it. Wait, what's happening here again?
Not that we see it jumping a lot, like we never actually see it jumping, but we do see how fast he can move and how he mainly uses his mass and his weight to barge things out of the way. Like a rampaging bull of Satan! First thing that stood out to me about Anguirus is that it doesn't need the red dust to survive. Whereas the Rodans die when they're out of it for too long, this guy is never actually seen in the red dust at all. Somebody in the comments suggested that this meant that he was a species native to Earth and our dimension, which I guess would make sense. I guess he could have just been awoken by the radio waves or maybe just by all the ruckus caused by the kaiju. But to me, there has to be a good strong reason why nobody has seen one of these before. Oh, and just remember that I initially watched this in Japanese, so it could be that his origin is explained in there somewhere and I just missed it. And if that's the case, be sure to pop it in the comments. I would love to know. One thing I love about making these videos is that I learn as much about these topics from you guys as I do from the show itself. Alright, let's get this back on track. In terms of evolutions, Anguirus doesn't really change much throughout Season 1, apart from growing rapidly in size. He never gets to the proportions we've seen in previous appearances though, and of course his traditional alliance with Godzilla isn't even remotely relevant here. That's just disrespectful. Biggest thing when it comes to this incarnation of Anguirus though is his ability to see a few seconds into the future, which would give him an insane advantage in certain situations. As we see here when he deflects a bullet from a hunter's rifle, and here he reflects a whole bunch of machine gun fire. As if tracing one single bullet wasn't a mean enough feat, he does it with 600 rounds per minute coming at him. And as cool as that is not the most interesting thing to me. What is the fact that it's not aggressive in the same way that other kaiju are. In fact, once it defeats Jet Jaguar, instead of ripping it open and feasting on its insides, it gets all kitten-like and starts batting it around, which of course is an indication that it's still in its infancy and will no doubt grow a hell of a lot bigger. Or at least it would have done had it not been killed. And how did they kill him if he could see the future, I hear you ask? Well, yeah, that's kind of a good question. The show's explanation is that a shot at point-blank range would either not have given him enough time to preempt the future or not given him enough time to react to it. Which is a little confusing to me because surely if he can see 4 seconds into the future, he can see 4 seconds into the future no matter what. It's not like he looks 4 seconds into the future and sees a gun stuck in his face and goes, oh, maybe it'll be fine? Do you know what I mean? Or maybe it's that Yun programmed Jet Jaguar to move in a truly randomized way, and maybe if things are truly randomized, they can't be predicted. Or can they? But I'm sure somebody in the comments will have an even better explanation, so check down below. So yes, that's how they managed to kill him, and like many of the other creatures, I was sorry to see him go so fast. But regardless, I am certain he's going to be back one way or another.